What is going on, everyone? Episode 44 of Locker Talk Live, getting closer to that mid-century mark. Today is our Thursday preview show, and join with me, as always, are two of my favorite co-hosts, Scotty T and Shana. Let's go to Shana first today. Shana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, we are ready to rock and roll for Thursday night football. Same thing with Friday and then again on the Saturday games. I'm pretty pumped up. We have a lot of really big games this weekend, some of which we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm super excited this week.
Yeah, things are really getting interesting when you really take a look at, kind of right in the thick of district play now. You know, every week is more and more important in deciding not only, are you going to playoffs, but maybe, we talk about 6A, you go in Division I and Division II. So many things at play here. Scotty, how you doing, man?
Josh, I'm doing good. I'm sorry if my internet or whatnot stinks. I'm not hardlined in because our office is frankly too cold today. The AC just keeps blowing, so I'm out in the common area. So if I have a different background, looks like I'm behind a submarine, which I may or may not be, but I'm doing good. A lot of football to talk about, some great games. I'm really pumped.
Yeah, it's weird that it seems like you were telling me earlier that part of the office is just the coldest part of the office. So interesting that you had to be really kicked out because of that. So
well, it's totally voluntary. I want to be clear on this. This is just frankly too cold for me to be in, and I'm even wearing a rain jacket today because it's bad weather here in the Houston area, which hopefully won't affect football too much. But totally voluntary. I don't know, they're explaining to me the thermostat's in a different part. It's in the room next door, actually, so it doesn't register our room. Semantics. I know people really care about that stuff, but let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to some football.
Yeah, that is why we're here, of course, the Thursday night. I guess not Thursday night, Thursday day, because since we're here at noon, but talking about the Thursday preview show where we take a look at some of the games across Houston, San Antonio, Austin, the DFW area, and kind of break them down for you. Not necessarily giving you our picks for those games because some of these games will be picked tomorrow. So come back for that one where we'll pick some of these games. But some of these games, I think one of these games at least happens tonight. So we'll talk, we'll maybe give you our picks on that one. Let's start looking through my list of games here. I don't want to start with kind of the heavyweight just yet. Let's start in San Antonio. We got San Antonio Johnson taking on Madison. Madison leads the series all time 7-6, but I kind of feel like Johnson is kind of on the up and up when it comes to a program as a whole. They are somewhat of a new school. I think they haven't even been around for 20 years, so or maybe right around that. So fairly new school overall. Coming in, rolling right now at 7-0. Madison, they still got a decent record, but they're coming off a loss last week to Marshall. So let us talk about was it Marshall? I can't remember. They're coming off a loss. I believe it was Marshall, but I could be wrong on that. But let's talk about this one first. I want to turn it over to Scott. What do you think about this game, Scott?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting matchup. I do like hearing the all-time records on that because that's what tells me is that these teams care, that these teams really want to beat each other, go back 7-6 record here. So I'm excited about it. I think Johnson might have a little bit of an edge just looking at their schedule. They've beaten some pretty good teams, undefeated in district play so far. So it's going to be really interesting to see who wins this game in the San Antonio area.
And Clark was the team that Madison lost to last week, so apologies there. Shane, let me turn it over to you. What do you think about this matchup?
I think, like Scott, I think all-time records are really interesting, especially because you can see that the fight, the rivalry is there. It's going to be a good game. There's no doubt about that. I think, Johnson is really dominating this season, and they're going to be a fun team to watch this week. I think that's kind of end of story for me on this one.
Yeah, they have split the last two games. Johnson won last year, Madison the year before. But just looking at the teams on paper, I feel like Johnson definitely has the edge in this one. They seem to have been rolling with pretty much ease. I think, I'm going to go to their schedule now, but I don't really think they've been challenged so far to really start the year.
Well, they beat Wagner to start the year and then played Brandeis pretty close.
there you go. So so it looks so
There you go.
So outside of that, though, it's been pretty smooth sailing for them, for Johnson, and I do expect them to continue that. Of course, I believe this is one of our pick'em games, so I won't give you my picks yet, but signs are pointing towards Johnson. I'll just say that they have the opportunity to go undefeated in the regular season before they hit the playoffs, and we'll really see what happens there. Let's move on to one of our next games. And let's move to the Houston area in this one. We got a lot of good games across the city of Houston, but one we have, of course, a couple that we have to pay a little bit of attention to. And the first one let's talk about here is probably one that might, I think, decide this district: Memorial versus Stratford. Stratford coming in undefeated still, and I think we talked about this on the Tuesday show that, Stratford's never really been able to get over that hump and win district. It's always either been Cy-Fair or, you have a Memorial come in or something like that. But this year, Cy-Fair is not having, the best of years. And it really seems like Stratford could take this. Of course, Jersey Village is another team in that district that's also undefeated, so they have to deal with them. But, Scott, what do you think about this matchup between Memorial and Stratford?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really hit it on the head here, that this district, which district is it? I'm pulling it up right now. I think it's 17-6A, if I'm not mistaken. It's been dominated by Cy-Fair, and Stratford beat Cy-Fair to start a couple of weeks ago. And Jersey Village beat Cy-Fair as well. So Cy-Fair was probably out of the running, at least for the district championship. They'll probably still make the playoffs if I had to guess. But also Jersey Village went in and beat Cy Creek. Cy Creek was also one of the sleepers in this. I think it's going to come down to Stratford and Jersey Village in this district. But this is a big game for Stratford because it's a rivalry game. I mean, this is the area where I grew up in. Memorial and Stratford is a very much talked about game in the Houston area, a little bit on the west side. And a lot of these kids grow up playing together. They play Pee Wee youth football together. A lot of them go to the same middle school to play on the same middle school team. And then at least Memorial Middle splits off into Memorial High School and then Stratford. So these kids know each other. They've known each other for a long time. Memorial traditionally has had the upper hand, but Stratford, they got some dudes. They got some playmakers over there, and they're ready to prove. They're in year 4 of Coach Todd Rankin. They're ready to prove that they belong and are ready to show Big Brother who's boss.
Yeah, and this is District 17. I think you said 17. If that's what you said, you were correct. District 17, 6A. I do believe this one will most likely come down to Stratford and Jersey Village as far as district champion. Of course, you never know, right? So, I mean, they still have, I think, 4 more games each in their district. So plenty of room left for things to change on a dime. But everything will go a long way for Stratford. Things will go in the right direction if they can get this win tonight. Yes, Scott.
Game October 30th. That's when Stratford plays Jersey Village. Because looking at schedule, if they can Memorial, they have Northbrook to end the season, but then they have Cy Creek, who they are pretty confident that they can beat, and that Jersey Village one is probably going to be the championship game. Yeah,
it will be interesting indeed. Shana, I definitely want to get you in here before we move on to our next game, just to maybe get your insight or thoughts on this matchup.
Memorial has a strong team. There's no doubt about that. They have Goodwin in the pocket, who's been really good and some really big wins for them. But Stratford is riding high this season with Rankin and Smith. They have a very strong offense, but moreover, their defense is even stronger. They've only allowed 72 points against them all season combined. It's going to be a really strong game for Stratford, I think.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens as Scott alluded to on our Tuesday show. There always seems to be something that happens that kind of keeps Stratford from getting that title. Will they be able to come and get over that hump this year? We will see starting this week, really. So let's move on to the Dallas area. Let's talk about Scott's quote-unquote team of destiny. I don't know if he considers them team of destiny anymore, but they're definitely a team you like to root for just because they've done so well this year. You talk about them doing so well this year, but I mean, their schedule, it's still stacked up where they could potentially miss the playoffs, if a couple of games don't go their way. So this is kind of a must-win game for really both of these teams coming in, and I'm talking about McKinney Boyd and Little Elm. Boyd coming in at 5-1, 1-1 in district. Little Elm coming in at 5-2, 1-2 in district. So definitely a big game for both squads. As we continue on the playoff hunt, and McKinney Boyd's schedule doesn't get any easier after this with Denton Geyer on the horizon and a pretty tough Prosper team. So this is one McKinney Boyd will want to win if it hopes to kind of keep its playoff hopes alive. Of course, Little Elm has lost back-to-back games after starting 5-0. And as we know, Boyd's only loss coming to Allen in a fairly competitive contest overall. So what do you guys think? Let's go to Shana. I know you're the DFW expert here. McKinney Boyd, I think, needs this win. Or do you think they may get it? We're not picking this one, so you can kind of give your picks away on this one. What do you think?
Like you said, Little Elm is coming off of back-to-back losses, and I think that says something about their 5-0 start. It doesn't say a lot about their 5-0 start, but what it does say is that they want to show that their 5-0 start wasn't a fluke. More so, a win over somebody like McKinney Boyd would be an absolute statement for them right now this week. John Madeira has been strong for the team. He's thrown 20 touchdowns. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the DFW area, I would say. But McKinney Boyd, like you said, they were, in the running for Scott's Team of Destiny, right? And they have had a storybook school record-setting start to this season. They did fall to Allen, but as we said many times this season, losing to Allen is nothing to be ashamed of. I think it's how they play against Little Elm that's going to say a lot about their stamina, their drive, how they bounce back, and how they use the bye week to their advantage, or how they didn't use the bye week to their advantage. Ryan Shackleton has been amazing in the pocket. Carter Whitefield has continuously scored for Boyd. What I think we need to watch for in this game is straight up McKinney Boyd. You're going to want to see two things. Is Boyd's defense strong enough to hold back Mateer and company? Is Boyd's offense strong enough to break through the crack that has seemingly come onto Little Elm's defense? Other than that, if you're a Little Elm fan, you're gonna want to watch to see how they've regrouped and rebuild between last week and this week to see if they can repair their record. Both teams want the win. Both teams are going to come in strong. If we're picking this today, I'm picking McKinney Boyd.
Sky, let's turn it over to you. What do you think about this matchup and your quote-unquote Team of Destiny? I know you don't like me using that term anymore. Right. I know you don't like me using that term on you, but I'm going to. Well, what you got on this one?
I want to give a team that label so badly still, but I won't, because every time I do, I jinx them. So I'm out. I'm out on the term, just in general for now. It's done. It's buried. It could come back to life, but I'm not totally sure yet. TBD. But yeah, I think Shana did it right. It's not McKinney Boyd. Even with a great start to the season, they could be limping into the playoffs at some point. And so this is a big game for them. And same on the flip side of Little Elm. This is a tough district. These kids beat each other up almost, and whoever comes out on top is going to be looking pretty good and really confident as well. So this is going to be a really good matchup here. I'm really excited. I'm with Shana. I think McKinney Boyd might have a little bit of the edge, but when it comes down to quarterback play, Little Elm probably has the advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, I think McKinney Boyd has to get this one if they hope to make the playoffs and keep this kind of hot start to the season alive for them. Let's move back to Houston. Let's talk North Shore versus Summer Creek. Summer Creek was very competitive against Atascocita, taking that game to overtime before Atascocita was able to seal the victory last week. And with North Shore, we know what North Shore is doing. They're a defensive team this year, is what it seems like. I don't know what to make of this North Shore team. I mean, defense goes a long way, but you're going to need some offense. Scott, do you think that Summer Creek can get the win on this one after playing Atascocita tightly, or is this one going to be more of a blowout than people might think?
Yeah, it's the Vibe Thursday Night Showdown Game of the Week. Today brought to you by Boost Mobile. So, yeah, man, oh, look at that beautiful graphic. Nice. I mean, that's Chris Bryant right there, a Texas commit, Kelvin Banks, the big old lineman for Summer Creek, committed to Oregon. So you got some playmakers on this team. Across the board, North Shore is very defensive heavy, and that's also without Denver Harris, the 5-star number 1 recruit in the country. Short, trying to come back from season ACL tear last year. So, man, I don't know what they could do this game. I think North Shore still has the edge just because they're North Shore. That defense has that swagger about them that they feel like they can stop anybody. Summer Creek, I'm worried that they put a little bit too much into the game last week and then still lost. Like, that's an emotional blow. So that's my concern for Summer Creek. So I would probably give the edge to North Shore here.
Shana, how about you? What do you think about this one?
I think that North Shore, what are we, 2 seasons removed to Zach Evans? I tell you, they're a strong team as usual. We're going to continue to see a strong North Shore team for a long time in this district. Everybody has big losses. Everybody has off weeks. Summer Creek, they started so strong. We've wanted to see some of that really tough play come up for them in district, but honestly, we just haven't seen it. They played 2 very strong opponents, and they posted 2 very big losses. What's important, though, is that their schedule isn't going to get any easier, and I think we're going to see that this week, especially against North Shore. We'll see some fight in this game, but this is, for me at least, this is one of those games where, you just see it, and it's kind of called before it happens.
Yeah, this is one North Shore can't sleep on. I mean, you look ahead; their last 2 games are going to be the toughest games on their schedule remaining. CE King and Atascocita on the horizon. So this is you can't be too focused on those games and sleep on Summer Creek, because we saw what Atascocita did, or what Summer Creek did in battling with Atascocita, who does have CE King this week. So and that's a great game to talk about right there. That's going to be one of our pick'ems tomorrow. But North Shore can't kind of do what Atascocita did and kind of look ahead. So Atascocita luckily didn't suffer from that, but it will be interesting to see. You look at their last few games, North Shore, 44-7, 68-6, 56-0. I don't think it's going to be that with this one, but I do think you're going to see North Shore come out on top on this one ahead of their 2 big showdowns between CE King and Atascocita. Scott, did you want to jump in and say anything else? Yes, you do. Go ahead.
Yeah, North Shore has kind of been the bullies of this district for the last few years. Really, they've been the bullies across the city of Houston and really the state of Texas with 2 out of the last 3 state championships. This district, though, CE King, Atascocita, Summer Creek, they're like, hey, we're still players here. So the Summer Creek, I think Atascocita and CE King have maybe a bit more realistic chance to beat North. Summer Creek wants to prove that they belong, so they're going to come out ready. And when you're North Shore, if you're one of the best teams in the state, you're everybody's best shot, week in and week out. Katy, North Shore, whoever it may be, Allen, South Carolina, you name it, you're going to get everybody's best shot. So that's why I do expect Summer Creek to come out hot tonight.
Yeah, it will be a good game, and again, you can check that out on AT&T Sportsnet. It is our VYPE Thursday Night Showdown, presented by Boost Mobile. Summer Creek taking on North Shore, 7 p.m. Pretty sure Matt and Todd Freed will be on the call. At least Matt will. Don't know who's on the call on those, but down below at your screen, and those are the channel numbers that you can turn to if you have AT&T Sportsnet to watch that game. Definitely tune in. We got 2 games left to talk about, and I think both of these are some of the top games in the state of Texas when you look at kind of just implications for everything. And you know what? I usually probably save the Dallas matchup for last for whatever reason, but I'm not going to today. We're gonna talk Denton Geyer taking on Allen, a big time game in this district. As we all know, Allen's kind of story. I think this is a story for Allen this year, right? Their storied run of victories in their home stadium came to an end this year. That's really all everyone's kind of been talking about, but they're still 5-1, still 2-0 in district. and now they have the away game against Denton Guyer this week. Let me turn it over to the DFW expert, Shana. What do you make of this game? This is one of our pick-ems tomorrow, so don't pick it. What do you think of this game?
I first of all, I think this game is definitely a district champion decider. Geyer has only allowed 16 points per game this season. Allen has Jalen Jenkins. On either side of the ball, we're going to see a really great game from both teams. Jenkins has scored 14 rushing touchdowns this season on only 82 carries. On offense for Geyer, the Wildcats have heavily relied on Jackson Arnold to do a lot of legwork. Arnold has thrown 14 touchdowns, completing 64% of his passes, but also he scored 4 rushing touchdowns. Byron Phillips has also been a strong rusher for the Wildcats. Allen's loss came against Atascocita. As we all know, Geyer beat Atascocita. Yes, like it's in the past, but also I think that's pretty big to look at. I think Denton Guyer has a lot to say this season, and we won't see them tune it down, especially for Allen. But we're going to see a strong game, and there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Denton Guyer, 0-5 against Allen all time. Or I guess maybe not all time, but at least dating back to 2014. So they're looking to finally get that little whatever you want to call it off their back. I don't know what the term escapes me right now, but monkey off the back. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. So they're trying to finally get that win over Allen, which they haven't done in almost a decade now. So I think this year's as good as they need to do it. Scott, do you think they will? Maybe not give away your pick, but give your insight.
Yeah, it's. I think Shana said it well with who have these teams played, and what's the one common opponent they played outside of district was Atascocita, because they both played them at home too. So you had Denton Guyer who beat Atascocita, and then you had Allen lose to Atascocita. But also at this point in the season, that was a long time ago. That was over a month. So I don't really know what to make of this game, to be honest, because it's going to be such a hard-fought and battle game. Obviously, the all-time series is the advantage goes to Allen, because once to get the term right, Josh, get the monkey off the back, is Denton Guyer ready to take that next step. They won state championships. They made deep runs in the playoffs, so they're known that they're capable of winning big games and big moments, but when that one opponent comes across from you on the field, are you ready for the moment? I think Denton Guyer is. So I'm still torn. I'm not sure who I'm going to pick, but Denton Guyer looks really good in my opinion.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Guyer is they're 7-0, and they're not 7-0 blowing away all the teams, right? They've had some very contested games. They beat their ISD rival Denton Ryan by only a touchdown. It was a tough game against the Atascocita. So this is a team that is battle-tested heading into Allen. So I think that definitely is going to be a positive for them. We'll see what happens. We'll make our picks tomorrow. Jeremy Scott says, hey, we're talking about some Dallas area schools. He says Crandall is gonna put an end to Enos's undefeated record. Enos, of course, 6-0 is taking on 4-2 Crandall.
Ennis.
Yeah, thank you. I get my names wrong every now and then. I don't have them perfect. So Ennis 6-0. Crandall 4-2, and he says, hey, you know what? Crandall's going to put it into that undefeated record. So if you have that game, you can watch that game. Definitely check it out and see if our man Jeremy is right on this. Our final game, again, another big game in the state of Texas. This one will most likely decide District 25, in my opinion. It is Vandergrift taking on Cedar Ridge. Both teams currently undefeated in district. Cedar Ridge coming in at 5-1 with their lone loss to Cedar Park. Vandergrift, of course. I honestly, Vandergrift has looked so impressive this year. If we're talking about Austin area schools, they really haven't struggled at all this year. I'm pulling up their schedule now. I mean, here's their games. Ready? 42-7, 31-14, 45-13, 56-21, 53-7, 49-7. None of these games have been fairly close for Vandergrift. So I think the key to them is going to obviously be getting off to a hot start, because one of the things Cedar Ridge can do is try and put pressure on them, because Vandergrift really hasn't been pressured all year. So, they you look at Cedar Ridge. They've played and beaten Round Rock already. That's the one team I feel that's left besides Cedar Ridge on Vandegrift's schedule that could give Vandegrift some fits. So it really does feel like, if Cedar Ridge wins, they're on their way to a district title. Vice versa, Vandegrift wins, they're on their way as well. Scott, let's turn it over to you. This is a game that it will be on Flow Sports tonight. We got our Vandegrift's own Merle Bertrand on the call, so definitely check that out. But Scott, what do you think about this one?
Man, it's a good. That was a phenomenal breakdown right there. I think Vandegrift is one of those teams, at least for me personally, that I've kind of slept on. I think they've really impressed this year. So, and then Cedar Ridge, been balling out as well. So, man, but Vandegrift, they're just something. Maybe there's something in the water this year. The team really believes they're just humming on and firing on all cylinders right now. So, it's hard not to pick Vandegrift at this moment.
It really isn't. And I mean, like I said, if you go watch those games, Vandegrift has been every bit as impressive as you when you see those scores. I mean, it's impressive to watch. You watch the game, you blink, and the game's already over, and it's still the first quarter. So, very, very much, I think this game's tonight. I think Vandegrift's going to win. I think it might be a little closer. I think my thing is if Cedar Ridge can keep this game close, it's going to put more and more pressure on Vandegrift because, like I said, they haven't been pressured all season. So what will they do when they are pressured? If Cedar Ridge can pressure them, there's that chance they can win. Shana, what do you think?
I think Vandegrift has a really championship mindset mentality this season, and we're going to see them go far. That's not to say that Cedar Ridge is not a strong team, though. They really are, and they've been posting really, really strong wins against really strong teams. They've especially stepped up in district play, and I think we're going to see them do really great tonight. But it's going to be interesting to see if that's enough to keep up with Vandegrift this week.
Yes, a lot of games coming your way, of course, Thursday through Saturday. Those are just 6 of them that we feel are ones that you should definitely keep an eye on. And we'll be back tomorrow with our Pick'em show where we have some of those games and a few more that we will pick. I feel like we're pretty even on these picks. I feel like I haven't been keeping tabs on the records, but I feel like we've been pretty even for the most part. I've gotten some good upsets. I've gotten some good upsets. So it's now I will say on the San Antonio Austin Pick'em articles, I'm kind of pulling away right now. I think Will is going to be my main competition, but we'll have to get him on one of these shows again because he was on with me a few weeks ago when the season first started, and Will was doing some great things. I love the kid, so we're going to have to get him on and show him some love. So, Scotty, I always like to turn it over to you to end the show to tell us where we can go to find some stuff. Talk to us about VYPE Insider, all that good stuff. Hit us with that knowledge.
Man, we are everywhere. VYPE, take over. Go to www.vype.com. I don't know why I said www right there. What am I in the 2000? So go to vype.com, check it out, and sign up for the VYPE Insider program. Exclusive coverage, premium articles, rankings. That's why you need to sign up to make sure you don't miss on any awesome content that we're pushing out on a daily basis. We're really excited about this, so be sure to sign up for a VYPE Insider today. And then we got some big things going on right now. As we mentioned, we have the VYPE Thursday Night Showdown Game of the Week. That's going to be North Shore versus Summer Creek. We broke that down a little bit earlier, so go check out that on the replay. Might have time. I'll go put timestamps in the description here on the replay. So should be a good one there. Matt Malatesta, Todd Freed are on the call tonight. North Shore, East Side Takeover. Also, I'm not sure if you heard, but there's a promo that went out this morning. A countdown to school. First Christian Academy. It's going to be Joshua Cook and Todd Freed again on the call for that one. It's going to be a great matchup in the private school ranks. Second Baptist Eagles, one of the favorites to win the district. TWCA, who just moved up. This is their second year in this district. Want to prove that they belong. They belong in basketball already. They won the state championship in basketball last year after moving up the division for the first time. But football, they want to prove that they belong as well. So be sure to check that out. It's going to start around 6:15, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow, and kick off for the game is at 7:30 p.m. A lot of great things going on here. I want to throw it up to Shana for DFW, but for the Houston plugs, go follow social media at VYPE Houston on Instagram and Twitter, and then at VYPE Texas on Facebook.
Yeah, and as usual, we are also on Twitter and Instagram for DFW. It's going to be at VYPE DFW on Twitter, at VYPE_DFW on Instagram. Be sure you're following along. We always have great videos, great pictures, and great coverage for all of the games on Thursday through Saturday.
Hey, Shana, who's the CW game of the week tonight?
Tonight it's going to be Wiley versus Naaman Forest. It's going to be a pretty big game, I think. Both teams are really going to want this win, and if you can not make it to the game, at least tune in. CW33 has it online on their website.
There we go. And one more note on the Second Baptist versus TWCA game. As Scott said, that one does kick off at 7:30. We'll kick off the countdown and kickoff around 6:15. And then, depending on internet connection, of course, we always have to mention, things can change depending on how good the internet is. We think it's going to hold up fine, but our goal is to have it just be one long stream. So from the countdown to kickoff to the post-game show, all one long stream for you, so you don't have to keep on switching back and forth. But if the internet, because basically we're doing the countdown and post-game show on the field. We're doing the game up on top of the building where we've done it, if you've seen our Second Baptist games. So we're connecting our two streams together as one. So if the internet holds up, it'll be one long stream. If not, it'll be two, but we'll let you know that, so that way, and we'll have the links ready to go on VYPE.com in our Friday night lineup that you can find every day for every lineup. It's the feature story. So all you have to do is go to VYPE.com. Oh my gosh, hold on right now. This is a special occasion, everyone. I got to turn it over back to Scott because we have our CEO on the stream. Shane, say hello.
What's up, world?
This is our CEO,
The boss
Shane.
man. He literally said,
man.
I don't know the
Well, look.
Making sure y'all are working.
Hey, we're always working, boss man. We are always working. We're talking about the countdown to kickoff at Second Baptist coming up this Friday. So, just ending the show on a high note. So, any last words of wisdom, boss man?
Take an umbrella tomorrow night.
There you go. Chance of rain tomorrow, so bring an umbrella. We'll bring ours, and hey, we can't wait. So, until our show tomorrow at noon, which is our Pick'em show, I'm Whack. That was Scotty T and Shana and our boss man Shane. Hey, have a great one, everyone. And if you're going to the games tonight, stay dry, stay safe, and we'll see you at the games.